Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our next session. If everyone just wants to comment where they're calling in from, if you already did in previous sessions, you don't need to. But happy to introduce Rodney here, CEO of Anvyl. They are a PO management platform that helps brands manage their supply chain better. Rodney will talk about it in more detail. Some background about Rodney, though. He's a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. He was an engineer officer in the U.S. Army, and since then has done a lot in supply chain, notable companies, Apple and Harry's Razors, Harry's Grooming officially. So I'll kick it over to Rodney to talk about his topic.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here with ShipBob. Today I'm going to talk about supplier relationship management. Let me pull up a deck for you. Okay. I believe we're good here. So again, really excited to be here. I've had the great privilege of building global supply chains across, the world, whether it's Apple or Harry's Grooming. And through that, I was able to develop numerous supplier relationships. And I've been personally, directly or indirectly involved with pretty much suppliers on every continent, which is a good thing with perspective here. I figured I'd give you a story, and the story is probably the best thing to talk through because stories show you the good and bad. And I'm going to give you a bad one, and a bad one at Apple. And that story will be around supplier relationship management. So I was in charge of launching a new product there, and the new product was a new keyboard architecture. They were trying to move to a thinner, smaller keyboard. So if anyone uses a Mac, the current architecture is actually what we move forward with and what we were building at the time. And during that time, our industrial designers wanted to do new ID, which means no one at Apple had that capability. They could not build that. So we had to go and find a brand new supply chain. And what we started seeing is during this new build, we did not have any contracts in place. So we're going through a new product introduction without any commercial agreements, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. We didn't know the supplier's performance. We didn't know if they were good, bad, historical performance, what they would do. Great company, great name, but we didn't know truly what would happen with them. So quality at scale or, be able to service production, no idea. And at the end of the day, we didn't know all internal processes. So production, quality, anything like that. So going through a brand new build, we didn't know anything about this supplier, any of the relationships according with this supplier. As you can imagine, the results of this was pretty catastrophic. For over 2 years, this program was a top gate at Apple, meaning we were preventing a multi-billion-dollar business from launching. And then with that, I was personally in front of our leadership on a constant basis. And you don't want to be in front of the leadership at Apple. So flying around the world, going in between China, Japan, just trying to figure out things. And then every single week, meeting with the leadership. Let me tell you how not to have that happen, how to avoid this with better supplier relationship. And we're going to do that a few ways. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you about supplier performance, actually give you things against this, and then show you some tools to optimize supplier performance. So overall, we launched a survey with a bunch of consumer brands. And what we want to get is a pulse, like what's the status of supplier relationship? What we found is 44% of the business are focused on reducing procurement costs. Then 36 are investing in this to better negotiate terms and reduce supply chain costs. You see a theme, cost. And lastly, 51% want to collaborate more closely with suppliers. Obviously, that relationship is very critical, but they're doing this to mitigate uncertainty in their supply chain, which we see there's numerous uncertainties across the global supply chain today. So what is supplier relationship? How is this fostered? How do we not do what I was doing at Apple into what we can do with your business? So one, supplier relationship management is a systematic approach. It's truly how to understand if you have a good or bad suppliers, and it's putting processes in place for that. A lot of times if you ask supply chain professionals, do you have a good supplier? They'll tell you out of a gut, yes, I do. I love my supplier. They are responsive, they're friendly, they send me a gift for Christmas, but that's not truly whether or not you have a good supplier. So when you're developing the system, you want to make sure you have all of your contracts in place, whether it's NDAs, ISO certifications, quality certifications, master supplier agreements. You need that to show the commercial side of the business. Then you need to be able to see the suppliers, who they are, what's the data around that, the communication history, the invoice financial history. You want to holistically have that for not just seeing the past, but when you bring in new people into your company or your organization, they can get up to speed quickly, efficiently, and seamlessly. And a good example of this, putting in a supplier relationship, would be Native. When we started working with Native, this is really early days. When Moise was the CEO, they had Emily Gu as their supply chain professional, a very, very small, scrappy team, living in a lot of manual processes, whether it's email, Excel. They didn't have an ERP in place, they didn't have an IMS, but they had these relationships. When they started working with us, they know they needed to diversify their suppliers. If you're ever in a Walmart or Target today, you're going to see just numerous Native products. Their current supply chain wasn't able to scale with them efficiently. With that, it wasn't clear expectations, whether it's quality, production, what that agreement was with these suppliers, and where do you have all that single source of truth. So what they were doing is just rampantly increasing volume, increasing scale, bringing on more retailers, but they didn't have a central tool or ability to communicate with this. Once they did this, they hit escape velocity. They're one of the fastest growing brands in the world, but definitely the fastest growing brand under P&G. And there are just numerous success metrics underneath that. And it's all started with developing good supplier relationship management. So I'm going to leave you with anything today. And if you're going to take away anything, it's this. When working with suppliers, and I've done that in all over Asia, the Middle East, Africa, North America, these are things that I constantly think about. Number one, establish clear roles and responsibilities. You need to understand who does what when they do it. If it's not clear, things are not going to happen. Understand your expectations. KPIs and SLAs are super critical. All the way down to the quality level. What are the specs and tolerances you're trying to meet? How do you scale this? What is their uptime? What is their downtime? What is their equipment? What is their capacity within their factories? You need to be able to understand this. So if you do hit that native escape velocity, you'll be able to scale with these suppliers. But more meaningful, if you don't, you'll know you need to get another supplier. Lastly, you want to centralize the communication. Once you know this, you can eliminate delays, errors, miscommunication, but you can help to see around the corner, but also have a record of the past that you can go back into. So it's not guessing or getting that gut reaction. You know what's happening with your supply chain. Connecting regular audits is very important and critical. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. But you want to continuously assess the performance, the capabilities of your supplier to make sure they're still doing what you expect them to do. And lastly, I'm with Anvyl. We're a technology company. We try to help brands across the first mile of the supply chain with centralization, automation, intelligence. You need to invest in the right technology. You need to know what's happening ahead of time so you can eliminate these issues that could maybe occur or create overstocks, out of stocks, or inoptimal issues throughout your supply chain. So these are the 5 things I'll leave you with to really think about on a day-to-day basis. So when you're looking at this supplier relationship management, it's really about managing risk. And what is that risk that you could see? What are those things that can impact your supply chain? So when we run every year a state of supply chain survey, which I love for any brands to be a part of, but you should definitely download if you want to see some more analytics around this. 51% focus on collaborating with suppliers to forecast demand. We know demand is very, very important, and it's unpredictable nowadays. It's something that we're trying to figure out and try to mitigate that risk. 42% of these brands said they're adopting new supply chain management technology. That could be PLMs, IMSs, supplier relationship management tools, visibility tools across the supply chain. Predictive analytics is something new with AI. That's something top of mind. I am not as bullish as I think many people with AI and supply chain, where everything is so pen and paper, so manual, so siloed. It's really hard. And then I'll just go down to the last point is 38% are diversifying their products, sourcing domestically versus internationally. There's a lot of move towards nearshoring. So as I said, I was going to leave you with something that you could take away. One is supplier scorecards. So testing whether or not you have a good supplier here, different criteria around this. This is something you could use when you're assessing new factories, your current suppliers, or if you're looking at launching new products. We have a scorecard. If you want to reach out to me, reach out to our marketing team or anyone at Anvyl, they'll give you the scorecard that you can go through and audit your suppliers so you can see truly with analytics whether or not they are good or bad. Highly recommend this. I use this at Apple, and it's something that I think I've used from my early days to today. And lastly, how are you tracking supplier performance? Are you doing it manually with gut? Are you automating that process? Are you trying to make it more efficient for you and your team? This is something where I always highly recommend technology and outside of gut, but like a few metrics to track. You could do on-time performance, on-time in full, supplier engagement, quality, and cost. But you truly want to see those to make sure you're having an optimal supply chain, but optimal supplier throughout your supply chain. And going through the last kind of case study here is looking at Brooklyn, and it's taking a step out. When you're looking at holistically putting in technology, these dynamic scorecards, other tools like ERPs in place, what you see is you're truly able to scale your business efficiently and repeatedly. So you then get dynamic scorecards, supplier product collaboration while developing new products. You can use these tools for quarterly business reviews, but in essence, you're centralizing everything together in one tool, one central location, so you can scale and do things like JD has done. So overall, given time, I'll leave you here. Very interested to see if there's any questions from anyone on the team.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney. If anyone has any questions, we have 1 more minute before we jump to the next session. Post them in the chat. And if not, and you want a more in-depth consultative call with Anvyl, you can go to their booth and request time with them there, or just pop in and get a question. I don't know if we have any questions, but I guess last one, Rodney, when do you think it makes sense for a brand to use your service?
Yeah.
How many suppliers? What does that look like?
There's a few things. I don't have a slide, but we're willing to give an exclusive offer for anyone attending this. You can book a supplier audit or RFQ with our team. We have a VP of supply chain that will be happy to do that. So we do have that scorecard, but we'll do it. But anyone that has complexity in their supply chain, they're hitting scale, escape velocity, and there's like hair on fire, there's issues, I would reach out to me, reach out to the Anvyl team. We know that pain.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time, Rodney. Like I said, go to their booth if you have questions, want to connect with them. And then congratulations, we're going to announce our first winner. They're going to be taking home a Spikeball Pro Kit. It is Clayton Hahn. So we're going to reach out about your Spikeball Pro Kit. So keep commenting, you guys. We have great prizes, and we'll see you guys in the next session. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.